Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful June the 27th, 2019. Grondo Deportes, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Well, Charlton, the only thing that was free down here today was the heat. It was hot enough to make a fat guy lose weight. But I found a remedy to that. I went and got myself a quart of ice cream and put it back on.
That might be part of the problem, Big C. It's like what's it called? Liquid. It's like a milkshake, but you just drink an ice cream and let it melt. That's what the milkshake. It's all fair and love and war. Out here in California, it's almost perfect weather. It's overcast, but it's warm. Kind of like in the Bay Area. It's always overcast at times, but it's usually a nice breeze blowing through the bay. It cools off all of Northern California. There's a lot of good things happening in the sports universe. I know a lot of people are into baseball now, and we're coming up on the All-Star break soon. But this World Cup talk over in Europe, people are still hyped about that. Hope it cools off. I was talking to someone from the Oakland Raiders today about the cost of a seat, and they were saying that they're pretty much sold out. It doesn't mean everybody shows up for the games, Big C. It's all in the eye of the beholder. I want to say today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I know we had so much talk about what's going on in the world of sports and politics, and still those stories about the young girl and her father trying to come into the United States. And I think it was about 50 years ago in February that Malcolm X was assassinated. And I remember a lot of things that Malcolm X talked about was about how to become liberated from oppression, liberated from political oppression, liberated from financial oppression, but that every person had the same rights that any other person had, no matter what color you are, that we're all the same. And I just want to it comes back, it's 50 years ago, but some people are still fighting for the same stuff that Malcolm X talked about 50 years ago. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the fight for minorities in America will never stop. There will always be a driving force to try to get them to equality. And it's a shame that since slavery has ended, the #1 fight in America has always been for equality. Not just for African Americans, Charlton, but you think about the Native Americans. They constantly fought to get back their sovereignty of what they once owned in this country, Charlton, and they can't get it. The biggest fight we have in this society is white oppression. I don't care how you look at it. It's white oppression because you change voting laws, you change everything that you can to oppress other people to stop them from gaining equality. You talked about Malcolm X and his fight, for equality in America, to let people be what they are. Don't force people into a corner. It's like today, Charlton. I had the privilege of, stopping and sitting down and talking with a civil rights activist, Andrew Young. Andrew Young was with Martin Luther King when he was assassinated in Memphis, 51 years ago. And to sit here and speak with a vibrant icon of Americana. He was a U.S. ambassador under Jimmy Carter. He was mayor of Atlanta. This man is so much history involved in him and what he knows and what he's knowledgeable about. These are the type of people that when we look at the democratic society in America and they're having these debates down in Miami, these are the type of people that they need to bring to the forefront. The Andrew Youngs, who was there on the front line of the civil rights movement in America, who was an ambassador for the United States under former President Jimmy Carter, who knows the ins and outs of politics, who knows what society needs, who knows what minority society needs. But when we look at the politicians today, Charlton, they don't call on those veteran politicians from the past, those knowledgeable individuals. They keep coming out saying, well, these are the things we're going to do for you. but they won't ask those people that were part of the civil rights movement what is needed for Black America.
And I'm glad you brought up Mr. Young. What an iconic figure. We hear that generation, they talked about with the faith in God and perseverance, you can survive anything. And a lot of people, they had that because they did not have the law on their side. And when I think about someone as prescient and as dynamic as Andrew Young, something we talk about all the time, Big C. I think what's happened for Black Americans, and maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong or not, during the days of Andrew Young and Dr. King and Malcolm X, they were fighting so much for equality. And it seems like, and I know I might be wrong by saying this, it seems like now that we have pseudo-equality, most of our African-American brethren are more concerned if LeBron James is given the number 23 to Anthony Davis than about voter obstruction and Jim Crow that's trying to resurface in the South. I mean, does that make any sense, or am I naive, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, no, Charlton. Minorities have taken their eye off the prize, and that's moving forward. We've been segued into thinking about sports and entertainment. That's what society has given Black Americans, Charlton, to keep their eyes off of the political path.
Yeah.
Focus on the basketball games. Focus on the football games. Focus on track and field. Don't pay attention to what's going on that affects all of society.
Right.
It's like Laura Ingraham said on Fox News, shut up and dribble.
Shut up and dribble.
That's what athletes need to do. Don't get involved in politics.
Yeah.
Because if athletes get involved in politics, Carpet, they can sway society.
Yeah.
And that's where, when I look at these Democratic nominees for president, how they're missing the boat.
Yeah.
They need to recruit the minority athletes to get them on board, to give them a path of guidance, Charlton, to let them know what their platform is.
Yeah.
And if these athletes back their platform, think about the minority vote that you're going to get. Not only just the minority vote, Charlton, you're going to get the mainstream vote.
Yeah.
Because people move with what athletes do, Charlton. Athletes stream society now. Everything that you look at is surrounded by athletics. I looked at a tweet that the president put out the other day, blasting the females' U.S. soccer team.
What a horrible person.
This is the president. People say that politics and sports don't mix. It wasn't enough for him to blast the black players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Now he's denigrating the U.S. soccer team, the female soccer team. We know his stance against women, Charlton. He's been alleged of rape. He's paying off porn stars and Playboy bunnies $130,000 to sleep with them.
Yeah.
And he's admitted that. But here it is. He's attacking female athletes, U.S. athletes that are on the other side of the world, Charlton.
Yeah.
He can't keep his hands and mouth off of females.
Yeah.
He's constantly attacking and denigrating, and they're not bothering him at all. They're trying to play a sport.
Yeah.
But he needs to constantly keep the focus on him, so he's always been attacking females to do that.
And I love what you said about Mayor Andrew Young and how he's an ambassador, United States ambassador to the United Nations, and thinking about Dr. King, and thinking about guys like, I guess you would say Ali was the most famous sports figure at that time. And what made Ali so great, people call him the GOAT. Now today's climate is made some people think that you can't have a brain anymore. That you just got to focus on that. Oh my God, they're going to sign a $200 million contract. What's it care if you're socially unconscious? The money's going to go right back to where you got it from in the first place after you buy 7 homes and 15 cars. And some of those guys end up worse off than they were when they got the money. It's just a shame how it psychologically affects people. But I want to get your thoughts because, prescient enough that you're down south where a lot of progressive black men live. And I know maybe Willie Brown's the most progressive African-American in California, maybe in the United States. But I love the fact that you're so well-rounded on sports. You're so well-rounded on politics, about political things. You don't have to be just a sycophant guy saying, man, Charlton, this guy's big and fast and strong. And I see too much of that dumbed downness on TV and radio. And the problem is, Big C, people acquiesce to it. They say, okay, we don't want to talk about it because they can take you off the air. Dr. King, had he had the sycophant mentality that a lot of us have now, I don't know if we even have civil rights, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the advancement of colored people in America is what Dr. King strived for. Not only that, he strived for the advancement of poor white people in America.
All people, yeah.
And once he got the poor white people understanding that they were no better off than the black people of America that era, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's when he became a threat to mainstream society.
Yeah.
Because it was no longer just a black thing, it was a societal thing. He fought to bring all people together, Charlton, regardless of denomination or color.
Well,
he thought that everybody was a person, not like our society thinks today, Charlton, when we think about our Oval Office, labeling people as monsters if they don't have blue-eyed, blonde hair, and white skin.
Yeah.
He labels them as monsters, that they should get out of this country, that they come from S-hole countries, Charlton. So when we think about how people 50 years ago in America, Charlton, thought about everybody, nonviolence, striving for excellence and achievement and equality, we don't have that anymore in society. We have somebody say, oh, you got this great tax cut.
Right.
You don't get any money from it.
Right.
You can't write off your house, so how did you get a tax cut?
Yeah.
You know, when you're sitting here and you're trying to stop people from coming into this country by telling your base, if they come in here, they're going to take your job.
Yeah.
I know you want to go out and pick strawberries and cut lettuce and pick oranges.
In 110 degrees.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So if they come in, then you're not going to be able to go get that job as a farm worker. So, I mean, to tell the lies that, is told, but when you're ignorant and you don't read, Charlton, you got to realize they're not taking the jobs at auto manufacturers, at Walmart, at Target, at Amazon.
Valley,
Those are not the jobs they're taking.
No.
They're not taking jobs as reporters. They're not taking jobs as broadcasters. They're not taking jobs in the industrial industry, Charlton.
Yeah.
So as you want to sit there and believe that your job is in peril because somebody is coming to help put food on your table at a more economical price, that's just stupidity.
Yeah, it's stupidity. And I believe in math and science, and Dr. King and Andrew Young, they focused on education. And being in a country where everybody's so diverse, and this facade about whiteness, white is a recessive trait. Dr. Mendel and Dr. Leakey, they talked about that, especially Mendel, the father of genetics. White can only reproduce white. If you mix it with any other great group of race on the planet, there's only one race, but a group of different, ethnic groups, then you lose what's called that whiteness. I mean, it goes away. It can't reproduce itself with any other group other than itself. Black people can go all over the continent, all over the world, and miscegenate with anyone and still produce a black child. That's science. That's Mother Nature. But that knowledge has been robbed from a lot of people. And so some people learn to hate themselves and lighten their skin and color their hair and bleach their skin and all that because they're ignorant. I hope they start to read more. I think you're very lucky to meet someone like Andrew Young. And just thinking about Malcolm X 50 years ago in February, he was assassinated. We lost the great Dr. Martin Luther King. So now we come upon people saying, well, what's about the sport? Just give me the score. I couldn't care less about the score right now. We have the June 27th debate. The lineup tonight, you have Joe Biden, who has been under a lot of flack, Big C. I know he's vice president to President Obama. Maybe he's stuck in some of his old ways. I still think he's a good man. But he and Booker need to just break bread and make amends. If the Democrats can't win this election, get out of the business. You have a guy who calls people who have brown-skinned monsters, rapists and murderers, and he has his own accusations. And then we have, so I think it was Castro and someone else who was going at each other last night in a fake argument, Big C. They didn't attack POTUS. They were seeing so many people saying, it's ironic no one talked about POTUS. Well, that's who they're running for. Why they won't say his words, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, it's almost like fear factor when you look at all these Democratic nominees or potential nominees for president, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that they don't have their eye on the prize. They are missing their opportunity. You have to go out and attack your opponent to let the country know what you're going to do for them and what your opponent has not done.
Yeah.
Don't attack each other.
Yeah.
Your agenda when you're addressing the nation is to let us know what your agenda is.
Yeah.
And let us know where he has failed us. That's how you attack your opponent. I mean, if you're an athlete, you're going after your opponent, you're looking for his weakness to break him down, Charlton.
Yeah.
If you're a center and you got a guard on you, you want to back him down in the paint.
Back him down, yeah.
You're a guard, you got a center on you want to take him out and break his ankles.
Yeah.
And so as a politician, and you're running against a guy who's been a demagogue against society
Everybody,
here in America.
Unless you're white.
And minorities.
Yeah.
You want to attack that. You want to attack what he has done negatively to society and even immigrants coming into this country.
Yeah.
That's what you want to lay your hat on, not attacking your opponent right there in the same party.
And especially Castro, they said nothing about Trump last night. Like they're afraid. It's a shame. So tonight you have Biden, you have Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, there's Gillibrand, there's Buttigieg, there's so many, Michael Bennett, and Andrew Yang, there's so many opportunities now, but we know if they're not getting some money, by the time August gets here, a lot of them will have dropped out, and I know that they know what we're talking about, but at some point in time, we just talked about the great Andrew Young, the late Malcolm X, the late Dr. King Jr., they put their voice on their opposition, which was discrimination. Could you imagine if Dr. King was trying to just bring America to a higher consciousness and did not talk about the oppression and the oppressor? The oppressor was the government. That's what the guys did last night. They avoided the guy that's been the oppressor. If they're afraid to even talk about him, there's no way they can compete against him. I guess with Biden, and if you have tonight also, I really want to hear what Kamala Harris has as a black woman has to say. And then Bernie Sanders, if he can make education free. I mean, who can't win with that, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, that's what Bernie Sanders needs to hang his hat on. It is abolishing the student debt loan, Charlton.
Yeah.
Biden, is a fickle individual. When you think about the last two Democratic presidents, Charlton, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, they were both in their 40s.
Yeah.
They were more in touch with mainstream than what we have in the party now. And I love Sanders. To me, he's the front runner.
He seems real.
Joe Biden, I think, is too far removed from reality. Even though he was a vice president, he's too far removed from reality right now, Charlton, to be effective. I know there's been a lot of things, some people, unwanted touching and all that, but that unwanted touching pales, Charlton, to the rape allegations on the president.
Exactly.
But we don't hear any Republicans talking about that, the rape allegations. But they will talk about Joe Biden sniffing somebody's hair, or standing too close to somebody, not assaulting someone in a dressing room in a department store. So we need to look at a whole new movement when it comes to the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
You need to have a different agenda than what the agenda was 20 years ago.
Show some moxie,
You can't run on that.
Yeah.
You got to run on today's society, the modern person of today. What are the needs for the people of America, the mainstream, the middle of the road people? That's what you need to address, not corporate America.
And I hope that our guys, I mean, God does things in funny ways. You talked about Andrew Young, and people are focused on the World Cup and baseball, and I just want to go back to those days. I'll say one more thing. One of my favorite movies, I was talking to an insurance partner of mine on the phone, very successful gentleman. I'll just call him Walter. And we were talking about Malcolm X and how there was a scene in Malcolm X that was played by the great Denzel Washington. And he was in a cell and he was talking about people were celebrating about a sporting event. I don't know if it was baseball or boxing at that time. And people were jumping up and down like we do today. And he said, there's a lot more important than that. They let you hit a baseball or boxing, you think like you were free. We're not free. We got to educate ourselves. And I think that's coming back around. We're a sports show, but we're not a dumb sports show. So if people don't like that, then just find some dumb sports show that's giving you numbers. We can give you both. And I think, I just want to get one more thought from you because you're lucky to meet someone like Mr. Young. When you have the chance to see him, a lot of black men carry the wounds and the scars of seeing a great man assassinated. That's horrible. And he still holds his head high, and he's still going on to accomplish so many great things. Can you lament on that, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there was a prize that they were looking for, Charlton, an accomplishment.
Yeah.
And they were in it together. The thing about the civil rights activists and leaders at that time, Charlton, all knew that their lives were in peril.
Yeah.
Most of the civil rights leaders of those days, Charlton, were assassinated. Martin wasn't the only one. There were dozens assassinated. They just never got the notoriety that Martin's did.
Yeah.
But when you think about what these men lived through every day, they lived through putting their lives on the line for the betterment of mankind, Charlton.
Yeah.
They knew that their body was just a physical vessel, but their spirit was much stronger than what their body was, Charlton. They were not to be daunted by the things that were done to them and their people during those times.
Yep.
That's what made them strong. They knew that they would not back down from the dog fights, being attacked by dogs, Charlton, the water hoses turned on them, being attacked by billy gloves and tear gas on the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Yes.
So when you think about all of what these men fought through in that era, and they fought for the same thing that those people are fighting for that are trying to come across the southern border.
Yeah.
They're fighting for human rights, Charlton. They're not fighting for a handout. They're fighting for human rights. And that's what mainstream society needs to understand. They're not asking you, oh, give me some free money. They're fighting for human rights and survival.
That is very well said. And I know with the pride of those men, you know, I just want to bring up one story that happened a couple of days ago. There's a show host on the mothership, and I just say first name Molly, and there's a father that's well known as a father of a basketball player that's just recently been traded. And there was some talk about whether it was an advance made on a woman, which I doubt if it was at all. But that same network shows umbrage at that maybe being an offense, so they don't invite him back on. But that's the same network that calls a black man freak in Zion Williamson and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And there's nowhere in their birth certificate where they were called freaks by the doctors or the parents. Now, I just take umbrage with a network that tells another black man you can't come on anymore because a woman thinks you made an advance at her. But they will proudly call black men freaks, which came out of the womb of black women. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that advance that they want to talk about, they created that scenario. They bring on a person like that to say that he's representing all minorities, black people, that this is the best that you can do as a sports network. They're making a clown show out of the network.
Yeah.
And because he doesn't behave in the light that they want him to do, but they were the buffoons in the situation. It wasn't the ball. They were.
Yeah.
I mean, every network who has constantly brought this individual on,
you
would think that his son is the only kid playing professional sports, Charlton.
Yeah.
And he's not that damn good.
Yeah.
But they keep bringing him on because they want to make this clown show with his dad and say, okay, this is how black parents are.
Yeah.
Look at him, watch him. This is how black parents are when their kids become professional athletes. They all want to clown and shuck and jive.
Yeah.
So they sell that dog whistle, Charlton, to everybody. He was an embarrassment every time I saw him on television.
Yeah.
I could never understand why any of the networks kept bringing him on.
Well,
but it showed that the networks were more stupid than what he was, Charlton. But they kept accepting this clown show.
And I wanna juxtapose to what the mothership did to what Big C Sports does. We talk about politics. We talk about sports as real talk. We pay homage to Mr. Andrew Young. We pay homage to the late Dr. King. We pay homage to the late Malcolm X. We pay homage to Dr. Cornel West. We talk about Michael Eric Dyson. We talk about great men of our society. I mean, I just think at some point in time, for young black men and white men too, listen to programs that are teaching you something that you can Google, and it edifies you. It enlightens you. We talked about the late Billy Graham, how he and Dr. Martin Luther King, they were great friends. Billy Graham bailed Dr. King out of jail. They love this country as much as we do.
Well, Charlton, look at this with the mothership.
Yeah.
This past week, they ran the series, O.J. Simpson Made in America.
Again?
Why are you running O.J. Simpson Made in America? You want to know why? What are we into right now? We're into the political theater, Charlton.
Yeah.
So you want to rile up white people, Charlton, against black people.
Yeah.
And this is what happens in the political theater. You're going to bring up all this hatred and vitriol because of what O.J. was involved in decades ago.
Yeah.
So let's show this on television. Let's show it on network in prime time. Let's remind white America that there's hatred still in their system from something that happened decades ago. We see people get killed all the time on television.
Yeah.
And white America will not rerun those things, Charlton, when there's a white person doing it. They won't do it.
No.
You know, it's like they were appalled by all the networks running this father and daughter that drowned in the river trying to get into America.
Yeah.
That was an assassination by America on that situation, Charlton.
Yeah.
But they're running O.J. because they want to rile up white America, make them hate everything that's towards blacks in America.
Yeah.
This is the mothership doing that. There's plenty of things that they can do that are positive, to show shows that are positive.
Yeah.
But you want to show that in the time that the political race is starting, Charlton, to create a divide in America once again.
Well, it works because a lot of people don't read and they just react based on things they were told. A lot of hate. But that's why God created Big C Sports, because we keep it real. And as we say, whatever we say, Google it. If you can't Google it, then don't believe it. Big C,
why didn't they run the Central Park 5, Charlton? Why didn't they show that?
Yeah.
Why didn't they show the Central Park 5? If ESPN wants to show O.J. Made in America, show the Central Park 5 Made in America, and the president wanted to have them executed.
Yeah.
Because of an alleged rape that they had nothing to do with. I don't hear him calling for his execution
No.
for a rape that he was allegedly
Wow,
involved in.
that is deep, Big C. That is very deep, and that's deep. Hopefully they'll do more into that. I want to say, Google everything, guys. I mean, just Google it. It's how we honor Dr. King when we speak for the truth, okay? World Series champions, Vanderbilt. You think about that good old boy team from the SEC, and I don't know, there's something about championships that come out of the South, but they really put it on Michigan last night. They beat them. They really beat them down. It was 8-2, and could have been worse than that. They forced that game 3 that we needed to see. So when you think about the last 2 games of Vanderbilt, Michigan jumped on them from game 1, but the last 2 games, it was 4-1 Vanderbilt, and then 8-2. If my math is right, that's 12-3, Big C. That's a dominating performance by the SEC program. Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, you think about this program down at Vanderbilt, Charlton, one of the finest academic institutions in America.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that sports teams don't get enough accolades about, is the academics that they have when they go to school. Everybody talks about, hey, he's great, he's one and done, he's gone.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt last night had 7 seniors on that team, Charlton. This team had gone to the World Series in 2015 and 2016.
Yeah.
So you think about those seniors on this team, Charlton. They've been in at least 2 World Series.
Yeah.
And so they were seasoned and they were tested, Charlton. They knew how to withstand the pressure and the brightness of the moment. And they shined when the opportunity was there.
Yeah.
They shined last night. So when you think about this program, and I've always been an advocate of athletes staying in school, getting an education, having something to look forward to. That's what you have at Vanderbilt. You go there because of the academics. Yes, you play sports, but you go there because of the academics. And to be able to hoist that championship title in the NCAA's World Series last night of baseball, Charlton, it's just a great feat for that university and those young men.
Yeah, it's a great feat for them. Now, give me your thoughts on Michigan. Michigan was having a meteoric rise. They came out to the West Coast, and they got the win over UCLA, which was supposed to be in the finals last night based on all the prognosticators, but they earned it. Michigan, not really a setback. They really showed up to get there, but they just ran into a team that could pitch and hit the ball. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Michigan was a true road warrior, Charlton, throughout the entire tournament. They had to travel. I think they spent about 7 to 8 days at home since the tournament started.
Yeah.
They've been on the road. So fatigue will get to you in uncomfortable surroundings from time to time. But Michigan came out and showed themselves well in game 1.
Yeah.
And I think they got a little comfortable after that, Charlton. But then they had to face Rocker in game 2.
Yeah.
Who has been the most dominant player in the World Series chase, Charlton, in college baseball this year. This rookie pitcher at Vanderbilt is just, you know, he was unscathed. He was unflappable. You know, when you look at him, he had nerves of steel. He looked like a 5 or 6 year veteran sitting out there on the mound, Charlton, with the command of his pitches.
Big C,
but Michigan, you know, this is a team you got to hold your head up, Charlton. You don't get an opportunity to get to the World Series in college baseball frequently.
Yeah.
And I think that getting to the World Series in baseball is tougher than getting to the Final Four in basketball.
Yeah.
When you think about what these teams have to go through, basketball games are ebb and flow.
Yeah.
Baseball games are strategic, and you have to be all over the country playing, Charlton. You think about Michigan having to go out to the West Coast and work their way back to the Midwest part of the country.
Yeah.
Those young men, you know, deserve a round of applause.
They deserve a round of applause. Does that dominant pitcher remind you of Doc Gooden? I see Doc Gooden all over him. Or maybe even back in the day, good old boy Dave Stewart. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, yeah, he would remind you more of Dave Stewart than what he would of Doc Gooden. Dave Stewart had command when he was on the mound, Charlton, especially when he was with the Oakland A's.
Yeah.
You know, he was with the Dodgers also, but Dave Stewart, when he was at the height of his career under Billy Martin with the A's, was just a dominant presence. You knew when he went out on the mound that you were going to get 7, 8, 9 solid innings out of him, and that's what I've seen in Rockers during this run to the World Series title.
Now I'm going to ask you a silly question. It won't be the first one. Rocker, he saw Murray get drafted by the A's and ended up playing football. His father played football in the NFL. There's no way you go around Major League Baseball and they're guaranteed everything. They're guaranteed salary, and you get your pension from day one, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, I look at Rocker in this scenario, Charlton. This kid was a 35th round draft pick last year in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
His opponent from Michigan was a second-round draft pick.
Wow.
And he dominated him
Yeah.
in game 2. He shut out, Michigan for 7 innings, Charlton,
Yeah.
in that game.
Yeah.
But this is what Major League thinks of African-American athletes, Charlton. Pick them low, pay them little.
Right.
You don't want to give them money. I mean, he was drafted in the same draft that Murray was
Same
drafted
one.
in, Charlton.
Yeah.
Murray goes 9 overall. Rucker goes in the 35th round.
Yeah.
So with that performance that he did, and he'll stay in college another year, Charlton, because he's not going to take 35th round money.
No.
But the team that drafted him in the 35th round would be smart to offer him first round money and get him into their system.
Oh my goodness! If they can watch, if you can see with your own eyes, get that kid a contract. I remember just seeing so many dominant players over the years, and people wonder where they should go. It's perfect timing for dominant athletes now. A lot of guys, it's just there. The money's there for the taking. What we're going to do is come up what we call the Big C pause. And after the pause, we're going to come back and talk some more about things going on in the sports universe, especially over in Europe with the World Cup. Tomorrow it's going to be hot, but we'll see if the USA can pull it off. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause on Big C Sports. And we just love so much about sports and what we cover. But as we always do, we paid homage to former Mayor Andrew Young, also Ambassador United States to the United Nations. Just an amazing person. I do want to give out a hotline number that I want to just make sure that people going through some issues is a national suicide hotline number. I even saw that same number. I was paying attention, getting media passes set up for this year. And the Detroit Lions have some athletes that were putting on some type of symposium where they were also reaching out to people. That same national suicide hotline number, 800-273-8255, 800-273-8255. Or if you're a kid and you may be being bullied and you don't want to tell your parents, you can text 838-255. That's 838-255 and try to get yourself some help. We hope that help is there, but you got to reach out and ask for it, Big C. Also, I want to just bring up this World Cup is really exciting. It's so exciting right now outside of what POTUS is saying about, the women's soccer team and, it's a shame they got to hold their head high. If women are still voting for that garbage, then don't complain about anything that happens in the workforce. Laura Ingraham, no, it's a shame. Big C, 10 games in which pitchers for the Baltimore Orioles have allowed at least 5 home runs in breaking the Major League Baseball season record held by the 2016 Cincinnati Reds. The Orioles are really sucking it up, Big C. Your thoughts?
They're sucking it up. I mean, and if you're in a slump, that's where you want to go to Camden Yards and play, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. They've given up more home runs than any organization in Major League Baseball this year. And that's the reason why they have the highest bullpen ERA, Charlton, of all of the major leagues. So this is a once proud franchise that's really struggling. Yeah,
it's really struggling. Now, I know the game that people really want to see is going to happen over the weekend across the pond. And it's a must-see TV just because of the stadium that they're going to be in and because of these 2 iconic programs, the Yankees and the Red Sox. And so they're not playing tonight, obviously. But is that build-up? It's amazing. The USA's playing France in soccer. We'll cover soccer in just a moment. But this Yankee and Red Sox game, it might even trump that, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's huge, and it will. But I want to touch on the Orioles one more time, Dalton.
Yeah.
When we look at Major League Baseball and we look at the complexity of the sport, that it's majority white.
Yeah.
We look at the NBA, when a team is struggling, they always point out the black players, Charlton.
That's right.
On the roster. Even in the NFL, when a team is struggling, they point out the black players.
Yeah.
If a team loses a critical game, they're going to find a minority player on the roster to blame things on. I'll go back to the game with Green Bay when they played Los Angeles and Ty Montgomery returned the kickoff and he fumbled. And they said, well, Aaron Rodgers was robbed of an opportunity to touch the ball in the last 2 minutes.
Right.
Because the first 58 didn't matter, is what they're saying.
Right.
I look at the Orioles and the atrocious start and season that they're having this year, Charlton. Majority of that lineup is white. The media doesn't beat them down, Charlton.
No, it doesn't.
Think about if that team was all minority or even, 70% minority like basketball and football.
Yeah.
How would the media play on that team, Charlton? Would they beat them down? When they come up and say, they need to get rid of some of these black players and then trick some more white players, give them an opportunity to play.
No, they wouldn't do that.
But they're not making that cry against white players, Charlton. They're the worst team in baseball is setting all the negative records as far as ERA, as far as home runs given up, and even the club record, Charlton. I look at the media, how they treat that it's okay for white players to be bad and not ride on it.
Well, Malcolm X said in a movie, boss, we sick, boss. A lot of guys act the same way. They don't call it out, but we will on Big C Sports. I do want to just say, no matter what happens in Europe, I want to, for the Yankees and Red Sox fans, not everybody can get on a plane and fly across the pond. I know they can watch it on TV too, but there's a lot of youngsters that won't get a chance to see maybe one of the few games they could have seen with these two great organizations, but I'm sure they'll put on a good show for TV anyway. I want to go on tonight's schedule. Thursday, June 27th, Tampa Bay at Minnesota, Washington at Miami, the LA Dodgers at Colorado. I'm sure they're glad to get out of Arizona with that rattlesnake bite. They got bitten by rattlesnakes last night. Big C, your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, they were stinging, Charlton. I mean, the Diamondbacks were hot on the mound. But, they're going to lose some, with the record pace that the Dodgers on, they're going to win well over 100 games this year. And they're going to have a hiccup or two in the schedule, Charlton. The Diamondbacks caught them at the right time and took the game out of the series.
Have you ever eaten snake, Big C? I'm sure they pull the venom out, but I know you guys in the South eat everything, and people all over the world eat everything. Have you ever eaten snake, and what's it taste like compared to anything else, Big C, your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, Jonathan, I've eaten. You cut off the head, the body will die. The thing about it is people always want to compare meats. Everybody, when they say they don't understand what something tastes like, they always say that it tastes like chicken.
Like chicken, right?
Chicken has no flavor, Jonathan.
Right.
The only flavor that chicken has is the flavoring that you put on it. It is a bland meat. It has no flavor. So it's about the spices that you put in it, and that's the same thing with snake. It's a bony meat, Jonathan. You have to be careful when you eat it. It's like a lot of fish. But, depending on how you prepare it, it can be very tasty.
Is it gamey? It has that little gamey taste to it, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's about what it's consuming. That's the thing about animals. When you think about a snake is only eating fresh meat. They don't eat raw meat. I mean, rotten meat.
Right.
They eat stuff that has been alive within the past hour. Okay? They wait on it to stop breathing before they consume it.
Well,
so the meat is fresh.
It's fresh, and I'm still not going to bet you any type of snake versus California wine. I just won't do that, but I'm glad you could give me the idea of what it may taste like. Also, back to the world of Major League Baseball, Arizona at San Francisco, Oakland at Los Angeles, and, everybody has their own opinion about these regional games. I really like that. And then some matchup games, the New York Mets at Philadelphia, Texas at Detroit, Pittsburgh at Houston, Seattle at Milwaukee, and Atlanta at Chicago. I love the Big C on the Chicago Cubs uniform. So in baseball, no matter who you are, all of these games will take a back seat to the Yankees and the Red Sox as they go across the pond. Looking forward to that matchup. And I believe that matchup starts on Saturday. Got to get up early and watch that, the 29th, the New York Yankees and the Boston Red Sox. And Tanaka's pitching against Porcello, so that should be a good matchup as well. I want to just stay in Europe because when you think about World Cup, and I know POTUS said some egregious things about the U.S. women's soccer team. And there's even a couple of players that said if they do win the World Cup, they don't want to go to the White House because they really take seriously, unlike someone like a Laura Ingraham, when women are assaulted, no matter what color they are, those young women are role models for other young girls who are going through something. And I'm so proud that young ladies can stand up and say no more, and really mean it, no more, Big C. European teams are big winners in the World Cup. 7 of the 8 World Cup quarterfinals, they're from the same continent. You have Italy, the Netherlands, France, England, Germany, Norway, and Sweden. And then the United States is a lone outsider. And you notice they haven't been trying to build a wall to keep the Americans from coming back to Europe. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when I look at how the landscape of the Women's World Cup has played out, you think about the minority countries, Charlton, countries of dark complexion, how they had some egregious calls made against them.
Oh, yeah.
It was almost like this was planned out to have an all-white Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, because when you look at situations where there was a goal scored, and the goal was taken away. There were some penalty kicks. There were a lot at Charlton.
Yep.
You know, in extra time, after somebody had missed it, a flag was thrown where they could re-kick the ball.
Yeah.
You know, this is almost like it's scripted.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't knock any of the women that are there, from the U.S. on down, Charlton.
Right.
Every woman that's in the World Cup has had to fight hard and have the worthiness to be there.
Yeah.
But there's also been some egregious calls in the World Cup, just like we've seen in all sports around the world.
Yep.
And you hope the best for all these women. I'm pulling for Team USA against France.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't come up with $11,000 for tickets. You know,
yeah.
You know, fell a few pennies short, so I'm gonna have to watch it on TV like the most of them.
Yeah. Well, I know you don't pay for anything when you go to games anyway, but it is what it is, $11,000 kind of price gouging. But I will say something, because I'm a very strong advocate for African Americans, because I read so much and I was not allowed to be ignorant growing up. There are times when people were just pushed aside, marginalized, and even in today's society, you got to really stand up for what you want. And I'll say this too, because talking to a lot of my business partners that are black and white, and it's the truth, a lot of people that I know that are Caucasian, they get that good old boy network treatment. They could be not as bright, not as dynamic, but you'll see them working jobs in media. You'll see them working jobs every place else. Everybody gets the opportunity, but there is a cronyism that goes on, and is based on skin color, and that's what Dr. King talked about, Andrew Young talked about it, Malcolm X talked about it. We know it's true, and I know that has something to do with all the countries of color being eliminated in the World Cup. And the only Big C Sports will say it. If you don't believe it, Google it, some of the egregious scores and what happened. And I want to just say, with the United States Big C, I know the sport is trying to diversify somewhat. Unlike golf, that really doesn't diversify, because it starts at the lower levels where you get people involved. Not every young person that's Caucasian has the money to join a country club. Somebody sponsors them in. And sometimes it's not their parents. Sometimes a corporation does it, or they'll just get money somehow. But they're welcomed in, and oftentimes people of color haven't had that same welcome. And I wish I could have asked Andrew Young this question. They have to have a mindset, Big C. They have to have a mindset to overcome, and to be there when Dr. King was assassinated. That would be so shocking for a lot of people, but he's going on to greatness anyway. Any advice you could pass on to other people of color, that even though you may face an uphill swim at times, you keep swimming, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, everybody faces an uphill path, Charlton, when you're looking to try to achieve, to accomplish. You know, the thing is, if you have a focus and you have your eye on the prize, then you're not deterred regardless of what occurs. Like I said, people in the civil rights movement, Charlton, lived through hardship, oppression, and death threats all the time.
All the time, yeah.
They didn't just wake up one day and say, well, you know, today is not going to be good. They were beaten down. People tried to discourage them in every turn that they took, Charlton.
Yeah.
But these people knew that they had come from oppression. And they knew that everybody eventually is going to meet the same fate in life, Charlton.
Right.
Is that they're not going to live beyond a certain date.
Right.
And no one knows when that clock is going to stop ticking in their lives. But these people knew that they had to continue to strive forward, Charlton, because it wasn't just about them.
Yeah.
It was about the nation that they were fighting for, the people that they were fighting for to gain equality. They grew up from not having anything. They lived in an oppressed society, Charlton. They didn't want to see their children and grandchildren living that same way.
You know what's interesting? You talk about women, and we talk about I believe the president of the NCAA wants to oppose people getting paid for the labor, and we talk about that all the time. Well, and for the most part, they're African Americans that are advocating for pay and the chance to get paid on their image and likeness. Well, the United States women's soccer team, they're suing their own federation for alleged gender bias. Now, most of these girls are Caucasian, so they're not going to be told to shut up and get the blank out of the country like Colin Kaepernick was told by many of our white brethren in mainstream media. But these are white girls saying they want to sue for payment equality. They don't want to pray. They don't want to sing "We Shall Overcome." They want to go to the courts and get their money. What can the NCAA black athletes learn from the white girls? Mix your thoughts.
Well, Charlton, all they have to do is pay attention to how the women's World Cup soccer team does this. They've already filed suit against the federation for gender inequality, Charlton. They paid a lot less than what the men have, Charlton. They have been the flagship for the world soccer stage
winning
for the U.S., Charlton.
Yeah.
They've won World Cups. The men's team has never won a World Cup. The U.S. women are trying to repeat as World Cup champions.
Yeah.
Trying to do it back to back.
Yep.
They've been stalwarts, Charlton. They have led the way. They have led the fight. Think about not just winning the World Cup, but
Right.
think about
That's
all the
right.
young women across America, Charlton, that they have inspired.
Yeah.
That you can be great. Just do what we do and do it the way that we do it.
I love
and
that.
here it is, just like NCAA athletes, Charlton, they have to fight for equality.
Yeah.
That they're not awarded equality just based on their gender.
Yeah.
The discrimination in America is not just against minorities, Charlton. It's against women.
Yeah.
Think about that. Women, just like in the civil rights movement, women got the opportunity to vote because they rode on the coattails of black people, Charlton.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now here it is all over again that white women are still fighting for gender equality in American mainstream.
Yeah, and I want to juxtapose too, and I want to ask, like the NCAA president, I forgot his name. I know we talked
Mark Emmert.
Emirates, and as a white man, wanting to just fight like he's Strom Thurmond, who fought against integration, he wants to fight for people getting paid because most of the athletes are black. But here are some white girls, Big C, and I know that society will show more favoritism and more of a willingness to listen and not try to justify them not making money. But they would do that if they were black girls. And now, I want to make one more statement here. The Cameroon team that was cheated by England, by the officiating crew, they were cheated. And when they were acting up and they were showing their emotional display of outrageousness, they were called an embarrassment to soccer by many of our white brethren. These white girls are suing. What's more egregious, to sue a federation or to say, I can't believe you robbed this, Big C? Which is more egregious, your thoughts?
Well, neither one of those are egregious, Charlton, when you're looking at it. Those Cameroon ladies had the right to protest.
Yeah.
They should file an official protest.
Yep.
That official that officiated that match should never be allowed to officiate in the World Cup again. When I think about the U.S. women's soccer team, Charlton, it's not egregious to want equality in this society.
Right.
Many people think that white women have more rights than black people do in America, Charlton. They really don't.
They don't.
They're looked at from mainstream society, male perspective, as the same. Unless you're a multimillionaire, that's the only time they're going to respect you.
Yeah.
But here it is, you're a white female athlete. They think about you as a black athlete.
Yeah.
They don't think of you putting you up on some pedestal, even though you're the best in the world at what you do. As Laura Ingram was saying, just shut up and kick the ball.
Just shut up and kick the
That would
ball.
be her say-so.
Yeah.
And here's the president denigrating the best female soccer players in the world and they're U.S. citizens. They look like him.
Yeah.
And yet he is such a bigot towards women,
Yeah.
is that he's downtrodden the female U.S. soccer team, Charles.
Yeah, it's a shame, but some people vote for that anyway, Big C. I do want to take our final segment today as we talk about so many things, and again, really just inspired the fact that you had the chance to speak with Andrew Young, former United States ambassador to the United Nations, former mayor of Atlanta, one of the, I guess you could say, one of our civil rights icons. You can even call him an iconic figure because he helped with what Dr. King went through. It's why we have the Big C Sports Show today. I mean, it takes a few people to create a change in anything. But if you're a coward, you don't say anything, like our show. No one has to like what we say, but a lot of people do. Because we say it's the truth. Google it. We even fact check ourselves. And I'm proud of men who are bold to not just lay down like a sad dog and not even bark. You gotta bark if you're hungry. You gotta bark if something's bothering you. You gotta bark. Big C, as far as barking, I want to look at some NFL football and the top quarterbacks in the NFC East. I know we talked about the West yesterday, and I know you still like, Russell Wilson. I think he's amazing. A lot of other players have got to earn their money too. But Russell Wilson, you can't knock him whatsoever, Big C. But I want to get your thoughts on, if you look at the top quarterbacks in the East, in the NFC East, and there may be two that make the playoffs. We have Haskins out of Ohio State, 50 touchdowns at Ohio State last year. Dak Prescott, the NFL playoffs 2 out of 3 years. You have Eli Manning, 2 Super Bowls, but that's many, many moons ago, and the defense won it. and then Carson Wentz. Will this be the first year since college as a junior that he does not get hurt? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, everything in the Eagles organization is hinging on Carson Wentz's health, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's had the back problem. He's had the knee problem in consecutive years with the Eagles. He's had the wrist problem. So they need him to stay healthy, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has to prove that he is that franchise quarterback that they've given the franchise money to. It's going to be a new look Eagles organization. He's not going to have Nick Foles looking over his shoulder.
That's right. That's right.
So he has to, all the pressure is on him. He can't have a relief pitcher coming in. Dak Prescott has been steady.
Yeah.
The Dallas Cowboys are talking about, well, he needs to give us a discount. We don't know if he's a franchise quarterback, even though he's the second winningest quarterback in the NFL in his first 3 years in the league, Charlton.
Yeah.
They're wanting a discount because he's a minority. The Eagles had no problem ponying up for Carson Wentz, $107 million guaranteed.
Nope.
And he has never taken the Eagles to the playoffs. Even though they've been to the Super Bowl and won it, he didn't do it. He didn't take them to the playoffs last year. Nick Foles did.
Yeah, let me ask you something real quick. I want to interject real quick because you said that Prescott's the second winningest quarterback in the NFL in the last 3 years. He's only second to Tom Brady. I would guarantee you, in fact, I would bet one of those rattlesnake sandwiches that you serve up down at your restaurant, you pull the venom out of course, I would bet you that maybe 50% of the sports universe doesn't even know that fact. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that's not one of the things that the broadcast shows speak about, his winning percentage. Everybody, you want to hear about Jimmy Garoppolo, you want to hear about Aaron Rodgers, you want to hear about your cousin in Minnesota. These are the quarterbacks they talk about, the Matt Ryans, that are non-productive,
Stafford,
that have not done what Dak Prescott is doing.
Yeah.
You talked about Eli Manning. The Giants draft a quarterback, Daniel Jones. You think about this. Daniel Jones, a first-round quarterback, Charlton, is the only first-round quarterback in the last decade other than your boy Josh Allen in Buffalo, that didn't pass for 2,500 yards in his senior year in college.
Wow. You
think about that. They couldn't pass for 2,500 yards his senior year in college. How are you going to pass for 4,000 yards in the NFL? These are the things that when you got these evaluators talking about, he's a solid guy. Eli Manning is going to be the guy in New York for the next 2 years. Daniel Jones cannot supplant him.
Yeah.
That's the reason why they drafted him, Charlton, because he could not beat out Eli Manning.
Yeah.
So they had a safety net for Eli Manning in drafting Daniel Jones. When you get over to Washington and you talk about Dwayne Haskins, the only concern about Dwayne Haskins is he's only played 14 games, Charlton.
Yeah.
Last year at Ohio State, he played the 14 games.
Yeah.
But, Kyler Murray only played 1 year at Oklahoma.
Yeah.
He played 15 games.
Yeah.
So when you think about two top quarterbacks, Charlton, minority quarterbacks that were drafted, neither one of them has 20 games of experience on the college level.
Wow.
But they're both expected to be day one starters in the NFL.
Yeah.
I like Haskins' physicality. When he's on, Charlton, he's on. He's as crisp as any quarterback that you'll see in the NFL as far as his delivery.
Yes.
You just hope that they can get him the protection and allow him the time to develop.
You think about how great sports can be, whether it's World Cup, whether it's boxing, MMA, football, basketball, baseball, soccer, hockey. It's all there. Big C Sports covers it all. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Spreaker. You can follow Big C Sports on YouTube. If you have Xfinity Comcast television, you can follow the Big C Sports Show. If you have that app that I just love called Alexa, when you go home tonight, say, Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll hear our sponsors, and then you'll hear Welcome to the Show, and then you'll hear me introduce Big C. And we do all the things that we love, from politics to sports. It's real because I want to honor guys like Andrew Young. I want to honor guys like Malcolm X who said, don't be dumb. We're not just sports guys. I want to honor Ali when he said, I am the greatest. You got to believe in yourself. We want to say things that every generation can Google. If you can't Google it, then don't believe it. Big C, I want to get your thoughts on other things that people can Google. We just talked about the NFC East, those great quarterbacks. And, of course, when you think about Prescott, people should just Google that Prescott is one of the guys right now that has the second winningest record in the NFL in the last 3 years. Give me your top 5 quarterbacks, NFC East of all time, and why you still hold them in high regard, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you look at the NFC East, Charlton, it's a very easy division to figure out as far as the top quarterbacks of all time. You'd have to start down in Dallas with Roger Staubach, Charlton. Roger the Dodger, the Heisman Trophy winner out of Navy. 5 Super Bowl appearances with the Dallas Cowboys, Charlton. Roger Staubach took that proud organization to under Tom Landry.
Yeah.
When I look at the second best quarterback in the East all time, Charlton, I'm going to look at Troy Aikman, another Dallas Cowboy. 3
Really?
Super Bowl titles in his time.
Yeah.
Number 1 overall pick in the draft, Charlton. So this is a guy that had a lot to live up to, and he did live up to it in winning those 3 Super Bowls with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
When I look at the third best quarterback in that conference, Charlton, all time, I got to go back across to the Giants. I got to look at Eli Manning, ironically.
Yeah.
He has the 2 Super Bowl titles, so that's going to hoist him up on that pedestal because of the 2 Super Bowl titles. Then I also got to look at Phil Simms, another Giant. I'm going to bring him in number 4, Charlton.
Yeah.
The former number 1 draft pick out of Morehead State, a small college,
Yeah.
who delivered on the grandest of stage, but he was led by a great defense under Bill Parcells' tutelage there with the Giants. I know Jeff Hostetler got one of the wins as the quarterback with the Giants, but that how he demolished the Denver Broncos, Charlton,
Impressive.
down in Pasadena.
Yep.
Phil Simms set records in the Super Bowl that day.
Yes.
Number 5, I got to look at Joe Theismann. 2 Super Bowl appearances, Charlton, with the Washington Redskins, defeating the Miami Dolphins down in Pasadena. He lost to Oakland down in Tampa, Charlton. But all of these guys that we mentioned at quarterback, Charlton, are in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame. Eli Manning is the only one not there, but he will get there based on his name and his 2 Super Bowl victories.
And isn't it amazing when you look at Eli? There is something about, I hear people say, we'll sell no wine before it's time. And I know that at some point in time, we're looking at, and maybe you can answer this better than I can, there seems to be more quarterbacks that are hanging around the game that are above 35 than ever before. There was a time when guys hit 30, they said, hey, it's time to let this guy go. You got Brady, 42, I think. You got guys that are above 35 that are still able to earn a starting job. I remember Sonny Jernigan back in the day. He was an older guy, but Blanda played football for the Raiders back in the day. He was in his 40s. But is this something that we're going to keep seeing, or is it an anomaly, Big C? Your thoughts?
It's called $25 million a year, so that's not an anomaly.
Yeah.
It's called a paycheck. There's an incentive for players not to retire, Charlton, and that's money. You structure that contract where they can't get rid of you. Before, Charlton, it was easy, because players had to look at their future beyond the game.
Yeah.
If you go back 40 years ago, Charlton, players were looking to retire. 5-6 years into the game, they were saying, okay, what kind of car dealership can I get? Can I build an apartment complex? Or what can I get into? The restaurant industry.
Yeah.
But for $25 million a year, Charlton, you're trying to find out what type of fishing boat you can get.
Yeah. That's funny. $25 million is not because they love the game so much. It's because of $25 million. I think that's something we should also put. You should patent that, Big C. What makes you want to play the game? $25 million makes you want to play the game. Speaking of $25 million, news on the West Coast. LA Lakers LeBron James is going to allow Anthony Davis to wear the number 23 jersey, which was LeBron was wearing last year. But LeBron's also worn, I believe, number 6 at Miami and Cleveland as well. Not a big thing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you've had a jersey. A jersey does not make the ball player.
No.
It becomes marketing. Think about how much money the Lakers will make off of that move, Charlton.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant had 2 different jerseys while he was with the Lakers, 8 and 24.
Yeah.
So this is nothing new. Michael Jordan had 45 and 23 with the Bulls.
Yeah.
So players change numbers, Charlton. And when you look at this, LeBron is saying, okay, if I change this number, will it bring me the same magic I had in Miami?
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point, too. And then as we close out on the sports universe, Klay Thompson, there's talk that he's going to resign or re-sign with the Golden State Warriors and heal up, and who knows what Durant's going to do, but it's all fair and love and war. There's a lot going on out there in the sports universe. We have the World Cup, and that's going to be France and the United States of America, and I hope the girls can represent the country well. I hope there's no shenanigans. I know France is the home team, Big C. It's hard to go into somebody's backyard and come out with a win when you got the whole country against you, Big C, so I hope they do well with that. It's all fair and love and war. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young men, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, I'm going with the Paris tradition. You know, tonight I stopped and picked up some strawberries and whipped cream. I got a bottle of champagne in the fridge.
Yes.
So I know what I'm having for breakfast in the morning as I sit back and watch the ladies make the U.S. proud in the World Cup victory over in France tomorrow.
Well, I hope you have a good time with that meal. And for anybody who heard Big C talk about eating snake at his restaurant, it's prepared well and the venom's taken out. So just you good old boys, don't get any bright ideas. Speaking of bright ideas, you can get them too every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, as we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.